All right, welcome to episode 6 of The Death Penalty. I'm here with my asshole host, Josh.
Hi.
And we've got Ted Furuhashi on today from Melbourne prog band Circles.
How's it going?
Good,
Hey,
man.
man.
How you doing? How was your flight over here?
It was pretty good. I slept half of the way. Our bass player sat in shit. That was pretty funny.
Did he actually?
Yeah, he actually legit. So he went to the toilet. I went to it before, and then he came in, took a piss. He goes, "Oh, I think I feel like a shit." Did his business, got up, and then he looked at the because you always look at it after you.
Yeah.
You know, you got to check, especially in public places. You got to check what you've
Make
done.
sure you're not bleeding.
Yeah. So he looked at it. He goes, "I'm pretty sure that wasn't me." And then he did the wipe off because he thought, "Oh, maybe it could have been me." Wiped it off, and you know that the circle around like a piece of shit that's stuck to the back of a toilet seat, that you know that's been there for a while because it has that ring after it goes down.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, clearly it's been there for a while, so it's dried a little bit. So he poured it in. He's like, "Holy shit, that was there before I sat," and he sat in it. So,
Oh, no.
so that's the joke for today.
So
That's what we've been.
What did he do with his? Like, because I would totally
Yeah,
throw my
oh.
jeans and
Well, no,
everything
he
in
would
the-
have sat on it with his bare ass.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, it was
So-
bare ass, but
That's even
yeah,
worse.
he wanted to like scrape the skin off his back.
Yeah.
He basically locked assholes with another man.
yeah.
That's what's happening.
Or woman, it could have
Or
been.
woman. Oh, are they,
You never know.
yeah, unisex on the plane.
Just
Oh,
have
yeah.
an acid bath after that. Shed all of your skin.
Well, that's a really good start to the last date of the tour.
yeah. So he's having a grand old time.
Literally landed in shit.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
it doesn't get any worse for him.
Now, hopefully, have a good show. And
Yes, so
everything,
where is the show tonight?
it's at Jack Rabbit Slim's.
Yeah.
Haven't played there before, but yeah, as you guys told me, it's a pretty cool venue. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, it is. Good stage. Hopefully, it gets a good turnout. It's quite a popular venue, so
I think most people will remember it as the old Black Betty's venue, it used to be called. They
Yeah.
used to have Oh Snap here. I think you guys have Bang in Melbourne, yeah?
Yeah, we've still got. Yeah,
that
still
was,
going.
Yeah, that was our version that's no longer existent. It's called Last Night, I think, now.
no, not there. Oh,
That's
yeah,
not-
that's at Amps.
Yeah,
now.
but that's like our version of Bang now. It's
Yeah, it's
So
just turned into a cover night though. They literally they
Yeah.
can't. It seems like people don't turn up for original bands now, and they just have so many bands doing covers.
I'm not sure if it's that or the fact that it's a fucking Thursday night. Like,
Oh,
yeah.
It was student night a
Yeah.
lot of the time, eh?
You know, you lose half your demographic because I'm not going out and getting wasted and going to work.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
I remember Black Betty's, where Jack Rabbit's was. You'd literally walk in every time, and you'd take one step, and then you've got bare feet because your shoes are stuck to the floor behind.
Yeah,
you.
everything in there is so sticky, it's filthy.
this is one of those places where they just give you solid plastic cups and nothing else. And,
Yeah. It was just gross, man. Eh?
like $5 Jaeger bombs and like
Yeah,
stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's tonight. So
Yep.
I guess by the time people hear this, that would have already happened. So not much point.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
going to give the show a plug, but if you missed it, suck shit.
Yeah, too bad. Missed out on an awesome night. We played really well.
yeah. And
We
you-
killed it.
we're drinking a Feral BFH today, barrel fermented hop hog.
Yeah, it was
So-
a gift from our friend Sam. So shout out to Sam. Thanks for that.
Cheers, Sam.
Thank you, Sammy. Cheers, boys.
Yeah, it's
So-
really tasty.
Yeah, we'll drink these and we'll talk about and tell you how nice it is because it is going down pretty well. So
Yeah, even after waking up at 6 a.m. and flying for a bit and then technically going back in time 2 hours.
yeah,
And,
And in terms of culture too, WA is pretty far behind where you come from.
oh no, it's weird,
We're
man.
hicks.
Like Adelaide's worse.
Yeah?
yeah.
Oh man, Adelaide is way worse. Sorry to all the Adelaide people, but
I think everybody knows that. I've driven through there a few times. They've been like, oh, that's it?
oh, it's strange, man. It's like one of those places where well, it's obviously coming from Melbourne. It feels like a smaller town. It's like everyone says it's a big country town, so you kind of view it that way. But it's weird. You see these 4-lane roads in just outside the CBD, but like 2 cars are driving down it.
Yeah.
Whereas there's a 4-lane road in Melbourne. It's chockers. Like they need those 4 lanes.
Yeah.
So like it was weird. It's like a ghost town, but it's like a normal Saturday.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I had the
weird.
same thing. I drove a truck back from Melbourne to Perth, and it was the same thing driving to Adelaide in peak hour. I had the exact same experience. I was like, where the fuck is everybody?
You're
It's
just racing.
4:30.
Racing tumbleweeds. So it's the only thing blocking the road.
And it's peak hour there too.
Yeah, Melbourne's crazy. You got like 6 million. It's pretty much on par with Sydney now. They're the two most populated cities.
Well, most people, everyone talks about, like when people come here from other countries, no one ever says how great Sydney was. They're always like, fucking Melbourne is awesome.
Yeah, because Sydney's to me, it's a nice looking city, but culture wise, it's pretty plain.
I'm going to sound like such a Melbourne snob, but fuck, I hate Sydney.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Same.
I would take Perth any day over Sydney. I love Perth. It's just great. We just feel really welcomed here, and just like everything's really nice. Like
Yeah.
Sydney's like, because it's such an older city, everything is just that little bit dilapidated and like shitty.
Yeah, that's
Or maybe
like
it's
part
just
of the
weird.
attraction to Melbourne, though, is that, it's really old. I guess you feel a bit of history there, I guess.
Well, yeah,
compared
it's not as bad as Sydney though. I think there's like nice old in Melbourne, like old churches, and then
Yeah.
like they kind of restore stuff to make it look cool. Whereas Sydney's just like, there's a lot of boarded up shops that have been like that for 2 years, and it's just
Yeah.
And you go out to Western Sydney, and it's like, Afghanistan. It's it's just a war. Like it feels
That's what
like
it
a
feels like.
war zone.
I haven't even even ventured out to Western Sydney. Like,
I moved over there years ago. I lived there for a bit, and I had to pick my car up from Blacktown, and I got off the train, and I was just like, what is this place I'm in? Am I gonna die? Probably. But yeah, like you said, all the buildings are old. I lived in a building there. They just renovate everything. There's not many new buildings going up
Yeah.
there. And I was in this building, and it was like fucking Joe's apartment. I'd like switch on the light to get a drink at midnight, and about 1 million cockroaches would just go and just scurry away.
No.
And it was like brand new. It was like renovated. It looked really nice, but yeah.
That was a fucking dated reference, man. Joe's apartment, showing your fucking age there. Do you even know what that is?
no, I thought you meant your mate Joe, like old mate Joe.
No, it's this old movie where this dude had these fucking sentient cockroaches, like they talk to him and shit. But it's like, fuck, when did that come out? Like 94 or something?
Yeah, like I was
that's all right.
fucking young.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought we'd better explain that one.
That's
I was pretty
all right.
sure that went over everyone's head.
11 when I was in 94, so
Yeah, right.
yeah,
94.
I'm getting there.
Yeah, how old are you?
I'm 35.
Oh, you're older than him. Then.
Yeah.
You old as shit, son.
I'm old, mate.
This is the old boy podcast.
This is why I can hang shit on Sydney and don't care about it.
Also, you've got,
And Adelaide.
got those Asian genes, man. You don't
There's no middle
age at
age.
all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no middle age. So wait until I hit like 70, then I look like that old dude in the rice fields with like
Turn
with
into
a
like
opium
old kung
pipe.
fu master.
The pointy hat.
And all wise with a mole with a hair coming out of it.
You just go and move to
Yeah.
a temple. Just
Yeah,
live
yeah,
at
yeah.
a temple.
And that's it. No middle age.
It's
now-
so true, mate. I love that about Japanese. They're just like, no age, and then all of a sudden 1,000
Yeah.
years old.
Well, now that we've talked about sitting in shit and casual racism at the start of the show,
Oh, that's how you roll, right?
no, we were talking about off before we hit play. You were saying that you guys have all moved over to Axe Effects now.
Yeah.
What made you do that? Was it just the traveling?
Well, the Axe Effects came about. I've had mine for like nearly 8 years or something, like ages ago. So when it was actually Robert Marich, I think, the guitarist from Dead Letter Circus.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
He had one, and he was recording their first album with Forrester down in Melbourne, and I was there just helping him out, just saying good day. And he said, "Oh, check out this new thing. It's called the Axe Effects. It's got these awesome delays, and obviously Dead Letter Circus with their delay
Yeah.
guitar stuff." I was like, "Yeah, cool. I'll check it out." I loved all the amp sims on it. It sounded great. I was like, "I'll get one." And he said, "Oh, how do I get one?" He said, "You have to email this dude who actually makes them." So I did it, emailed it, he built it and sent it over. So that was like probably one of the first, no one stocked it in Australia at
Yeah,
that time.
right.
So I had to
That would have
specially
been
order
the
it.
Axe Effects standard, the very first one.
They released 2 at the same time, the Standard and the Ultra. And the Ultra
okay.
was like $300 more, but with like 8 more cab sims and amp sims. I'm like, it's not like I'm paying 2 and a bit grand anyway.
Yeah.
Might as well pay the extra 300 and get the top of the line. So I've been using that ever since. Haven't even updated the firmware. That's how lazy I am.
Oh, really?
So you're still using the same
the
one?
original
Yeah,
firmware that
nice.
came with it. But it does the job, man. Like,
It definitely does, man. Yeah.
sounds great. And we just recently, in the last year, we've moved into automated patch changes.
Yeah, that's
So no
Oh, yeah.
no floorboard. It's because we play everything to a click track anyway.
Yep.
We run Cubase, and I have a session with all the MIDI with both of our MIDI, both me and Ben, and we just daisy chain them. So we have 2 MIDI channels, change the song, and yeah, as long as the laptop doesn't die,
Yeah, that's the only
or
thing.
Dave, our drummer, if he loses the click or goes out of time, then we basically stop.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
It's not a rock show at all. It's like,
Yeah.
sorry guys, we're gonna have to stop. The computer broke.
That's
not rock and
awesome
roll.
though. That's
Yeah.
what we're gonna do too. Have
Yeah.
that same
It's
setup.
awesome, man. Because especially with like a wireless as well, you can go to the other end of the room
Yeah.
and just keep playing,
Yeah.
which is something that we've kind of started doing for the fact of being free on stage, and when you're a support band or when you're kind of starting as a band, like we're still obviously trying to gain more fans and stuff. So to get more engaged with the audience is you got to get in their faces. You got to do something that's somewhat memorable, you know. So going out into the crowd is something that we've been doing on this tour, just to get people in the mood, especially touring with a band like Neo. They're just like ridiculous players, and like the band's awesome, and obviously people have come to see them. You know, our job is to try and win some of these people over because they probably haven't heard of us. And being a melodic, progressive metal band, like we're not that heavy or anything like that. So you got to put on that extra, you know.
What's the response been like? And getting into the crowd and that.
It's been pretty good. Like, I think metal fans are the most open. As much as people say, as much as people like have these inter-genre bullshit, like, oh, you metalcore band, or like you emo band, or you know, or this death metal band. Like, there's a lot of that going on. But at the end of the day, everyone respects heavy music, which is awesome in the community. So like, if you meet someone at a gig, and if they're obviously into, you know, death metal, but we come across and play, you know, progressive metal, they still can take away something from that. And go, you know what? It's not my thing, but they're good, and that's all we can ask for. Like, if it's not your thing, man, it's not your thing. Like, if I showed you this latest band and go, I can tell that they're good, and they obviously got heaps of fans and stuff, but it's just not my bag. Like, that's cool.
Yeah, that's all you're after. A bit
Yeah.
of open-mindedness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and we get that a lot, especially in places like Perth, because for some reason you guys are open to everything, because not many bands make the trek over. So it's just like, you made it over, we'll give you a chance. Rather than in Melbourne, they're just like, I'm only going to go see like the main band, or like if your favorite band's touring, you're not going to get there at doors, because you're like, I'm just going to have a couple of beers at home and then go see the band that I
Yeah.
want to go to see. Whereas, you know, places here, like,
People like to
go-
make a night of it here. You know, go get pissed at a gig and
Because we're all alcoholics.
But it's the effort, I think, or just the mindset. It's like, if you love music, if you love going to gigs, go. Like, check out. You never know. The opening band might be better than the headliner. You never
Yeah.
know.
I think
Like-
with Melbourne, you guys get spoiled a lot more than
Oh,
we
yeah.
do in terms of touring acts. Like we talked about last episode, that how many bands come to Australia, like international bands come and do an Australian tour that is just the East Coast.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes they include Adelaide, and if we're very lucky, Perth will get put on the bill. So I think there's that. We get starved a bit more, but it's interesting because there's the Facebook Gent group. I don't know if you're part of that, or it's just, you know, people post their music and shit. It's really
Yeah,
cool.
right.
But there was a guy in there. He lives in New York State, and he lives a 30-minute train ride from New York City. And he was on this group, and he was complaining about bands not playing out of New York City because he has to take a 30-minute train ride into the city. He's like, oh, I already went and caught a train last week to see Vale of Mire. I don't want to have to do it again to see Periphery and the Faceless. Hey, man.
Yeah, try getting a 4-hour flight, dude.
Yeah, for real.
Probably the kind of guy that would complain about using his legs to take the stairs to get into the venue. I had to use my fucking legs like a chump.
It's crazy though. I think it's because where we live, like in Australia, you got to drive. Touring in Australia is fucked.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's shit. There's
Even
not
if you
much
live
to
in
do.
Sydney,
Yeah.
like in the kind of middle of everything, it's still fucked.
Yeah. Oh man, coming from Melbourne, it's still fucked. Like,
Yeah.
for us to come to Perth, because I book all the flights for our band and do all the financials, so I know exactly what comes in and out, and a lot of it's going out, as you guys will know, being in a band.
Inbox,
Yeah.
tumbleweed.
But all the flights that I booked, so we did Melbourne to Adelaide, Adelaide to Melbourne, Melbourne to Sydney, and then drove. Sydney to Brisbane, then Brisbane to Melbourne. That cost $2,500 for 4 people. And then I go,
That's
all right,
surprisingly not bad. I thought
it's
it was
not
going to
bad.
be a lot
Yeah.
more than
So I was
that,
like, sweet, got all the good deals. All right, I'm going to book, the cheapest flight I can find for Perth. Did that, $2,500.
yeah.
So it costs
yeah.
just as much to come to Perth than it does for like 6 flights within the East Coast.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then you can see why a lot of bands, smaller bands or unknown bands, it's hard to get to Perth.
Definitely.
What he just booked some flights to Queensland. How much were they?
Well, because I've got to go on an archaeology dig for uni, and I've got to go to a place called Armidale in New South Wales.
Oh, where the rape victims.
The rape victim.
Oh, so it's as bad as WA's
We've got an Armadale that's
Awesome.
like south of Perth, and it's like the joke is it's a
Been
meth
raped.
den.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's just
Well,
a
there
hellhole.
was a controversy this week that came out of University of New England.
Yeah,
in
that's where I'm
Armidale.
going to do my thing.
Oh, really? Yeah. This is gone.
shit.
Yeah. So
Should I wear a butt plug? Or just to protect myself?
Nice knowing you. Just like, nice knowing you, asshole.
Actually, all of a sudden, I
gonna
want to
get
go
raped.
more.
He just goes pre-lube.
no lube needed.
Never can be too cautious. Got to lube up in Armadale.
But yeah,
Yeah.
good luck with that. Yeah.
I've got to go there. But the flight return, it's $1,500.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Is that directly from Armidale?
No, so,
So you have
they
to-
don't fly directly to Armidale. I've got to go to Sydney,
Oh.
and then from Sydney to Armidale.
They're
1,500.
They're just afraid that the planes will be ransacked. They'll be on bricks and on fire if they land in Armadale.
Yeah, well, probably. As soon as I read it and I was like, Armidale, New South Wales, I was like, fuck.
That's crazy. $1,500.
Yeah, it's because of the proximity of when I've got to go to when they told me I had to go.
Oh, okay,
So
yeah.
they told me on Tuesday.
And they do that to all their students.
Yeah.
That's a bit rough.
Well, it's because I'm doing my shit online
right.
with University of Southern Queensland, so that's a bit closer, but it's still a mission.
And in comparison, I flew to LA last year for $860 return.
Fuck
and
you.
and got
He's going to Armidale.
yeah, he's going to Armadale. And I had a layover in China, and I got a free hotel and transport to my hotel included in that. And I was like, you going to Armadale for double the price?
Yeah, if anyone's listening and you've got some rope, just mail it to me so I can end my own life. Thank you.
And maybe a rickety chair.
You might need one of those hemorrhoid pillows.
With a way home.
Or the pregnancy pillows.
Or you'd be at the airport with it around your neck and be like, oh, is that one of those new sleeper things? No, it's just for my ass.
I
just
get
been
the
in
archaeology
Armadale.
teacher's like, I've got a custom pick for you to use. Just whips his hard dick out.
All you need to say, yeah, I've been to Armidale, and they'll be like, yeah, I can understand. I understand. We've got a special seat reserved for you.
So you need your ass stitched back together. Huh?
Apologies to anyone in Armidale in New South Wales.
Nah, move to a better town.
Just joking. It's just because there's just controversy around it at the
Well, the
moment.
funny thing is like me and Zane are definitely relating it to our Armadale. That's all
Oh,
I can
right.
think of
Yeah.
when I'm talking about. I know nothing of this Armadale. I'm just thinking of the Armadale here, and I'm like, oh, it's a ghastly place, isn't it?
Well, at least this one has a university, so it's got to be slightly better than our one.
That one's got a university of methamphetamine. It's just like in someone's backyard. We've got a chemistry class. Come to my back shed.
Old rusty caravan.
Walter White's in there.
Well, yeah, it might not be government run, but it's there is
You
a
learn
chemistry
about-
class there.
We might blow ourselves up, but
So that rape thing, that was at the uni, was it? One of
Yeah,
the
well,
students?
supposedly a lot of students have come out recently,
Yeah, right, fuck.
and it's been released that the whole support system there is rubbish, like it is everywhere. But
what's
there's been
so
some
the
cases.
students getting raped?
So
Right.
I think it's because it was been O week recently at a lot of
Yeah.
unis, and I think something's happened there, and then because of that, a whole string of victims have come out and
Yeah,
said,
right.
this has happened, and this is what the support I got, and this is what they told me. And it's like, oh, sorry, we can't do anything unless there was like a witness in the room. It's like, if there was a witness watching me getting raped, I'm pretty sure they just won't be sitting there watching.
Yeah.
So they can report it later.
If there was a witness, I wouldn't have got raped because they would have saved me.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
And who would
that
just
is.
sit there and watch and go, I'm going to report this later.
Yeah, I think that the problem with it is it's hard to prove, and to some extent, unless they report it straight away and there's physical evidence, it's, you know, essentially without any kind of correlating witnesses. It's just he said, she said in some cases.
Yeah.
And it's just fucking horrible.
Yeah, get your shit together, Armado.
Exactly. Because that's pretty much what happened with the decapitated guys, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know all the details, but I know they were let off, or they just...
Well,
yeah, it
drop
came out
charges.
that girl was had
a psychopath.
yeah, she had accused several other people of similar things, and the cop that picked her up said that he didn't believe that she'd been through any distress that she'd claimed, because she said shit like they pinned her against the bathroom and they smashed her head against the wall, and the cop that picked her up was like, no, there's no sign of any of that. And
Also, that it came out that one of the guitarists was on a plane to another state at the time of the accusation.
Oh, really?
When she said, yeah, apparently, yeah.
Oh, I didn't hear that. That's fucking Jesus.
Yeah,
that'll
that's what
do
I
it.
heard.
You can't be raping and planing at the same time.
Yeah, well, if you can, you wizard.
There's a detachable penis.
Yeah, that's a long
Just left
piece.
his penis in the state. He's like, shit, I left my penis there. It's probably going to go around raping people now.
Just detached. No responsibility if it's detached.
Yeah, his penis is standing trial. He walks in, he's like, can I have my penis back? It gets kind of out of control when
Gives
it's
it a slap. I told you, no more raping.
You've embarrassed me. You've caused me to be in prison for 2 months. Look what you've done.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you how this whole thing with Wild Things Records came about. How did you? Obviously, you guys knew before anyone else that this is a new label, but how did you get in? How did they? I mean, did you approach them? Did they pick you as sort of their? Because you guys are their, you know, flagship artist at this point.
Or guinea pig, whichever way you want to say it. Yeah, flagship artist. I might use that from now on. Thanks for that. Instead of guinea pigs, it probably sounds a bit better. No, we've known Ellie for a while, and he's originally a booking agent, and it was Wild Thing bookings, I guess. So we used him for a couple of tours. Like we had it was after Fear Factory or after Periphery. I think it was after one of those tours. We signed a contract with him saying, you know, obviously to book us shows. So he did. It was after Fear Factory, sorry. And so he got us the Periphery tour, and he's got a lot of contacts, and it's good to actually have someone booking your shows rather than calling up venues going, hey man, can we play a gig? I play in a band. Like, you know, if it's a representative, they'd be more likely to, you know, put you on and all that kind of stuff. So we signed with him for a year, and then we were pretty happy with, you know, what he was doing for us. And then he told us about, I'm going to start a label with David Roy Williams, who used to run Shock, I think. But he's an older dude. He's been in the game for a while.
Shock.
Yeah, a long way. But he's been in the biz for, I don't know, 30, 40 years or something. So he's got plenty of contacts. He's got the capital. He's got all that kind of stuff ready. And then so they got together and partnered up. And then, Ellie was pretty much like, I'm doing this record label. Do you want to sign? And we said, show us a contract. So, after all that, we signed up and here we are, basically. And the record's done. It's just, we're just waiting for a release date. But there was a bit of confusion with that just because we wanted to secure representation in Europe and all the rest of the world, basically. Well, obviously, Ellie and David Roy Williams have a hold of Australia, so they've got contacts everywhere, and it's all sweet with releases and distribution, all that kind of stuff. Whereas overseas, not as much. They still have partners, but they don't know all of the nitty-gritty of over there because they've got different laws and all that kind of stuff. So we ended up hooking up with Seasons of Mist, which is a strange coupling because if you look at their roster, it's pretty brutal.
Who's on?
Neo's on there.
Okay.
They've got a lot of death metal bands. Rotting Christ is one.
Yeah.
I saw that one.
Yeah, it's a bit.
I haven't really heard them, but I saw the name and I thought,
Yeah, they're quite an old band actually.
Yeah, right.
They've been around for a while. Yeah, but that's a few tiers heavier than what
Yeah,
you guys are doing. Yeah.
They love melodic death metal and that in Europe. Eh?
yeah, they love to eat that shit up. So we've got the melody part, but the death metal part we don't have down. But I
No.
guess it's good for them too. I guess it's an advantage for us because there's no other band, or not many bands like us on their roster.
Yeah, it's a bit of diversity.
So we might kind of stand out a bit more that way. So that's a good thing, and they're like a really reputable label. They've obviously got Neo and all those big bands on their roster that tour constantly. So they're in the game, and they've got partners over in they've got their own offices over in the States as well. So that covers that. So
Well, that kind of helps them get their foot in the door with like, the music you guys are playing. Yeah,
exactly. So there's plenty of prog labels over there, but if Seasons of the Mist want to join that party, they've got us on there now to kind of do it. So that was the reason why the release date hasn't been released yet, because we were waiting for that deal to go through, and that went through a couple of weeks ago, just pretty much at the start of this tour. We announced it.
Can you say the release date or not yet?
I can't because I don't know.
Oh, okay,
I
yeah.
legit don't know.
So
It's been rumored to be mid-year, but it depends. I think they want more ammo for it. They want us to tour with the release, obviously, but to secure that tour first, we need to secure that tour first and then build the release date around it. So it's all these labels and stuff. It's just all jigsawing. It's like jigsaw puzzle. Like it's like we need to secure that first, and then these pieces can fall into place. But for these pieces to fall in place, these items need to be ready to go, like a film clip, photo shoot. Obviously the album ready to go, vinyl master if you want vinyl, merch. We got to have that. The print for the merch. Like we want 4 different designs. We want one of the album. We want one that's for the first single. There's just heaps of shit.
Yeah, it's a big headache.
So we're kind of like a DIY band. So we're pretty anal about what we put out, just because we've done it for so long by ourselves. Like we used to obviously book our own shows and self-manage and all that kind of stuff. So, and even design. Our drummer Dave does all. He spearheads the visuals department. He films all our clips. He edits them. He color grades them. He does all that stuff. And all the artwork he does. He's a visual artist guy, and I'm an audio guy, so I record it all. So it would save a lot of money that way, and the labels love it because it's like, sweet, instead of giving you 20 grand to do this album and artwork, we'll put that towards promo.
Yeah, that's good.
That's where the money should be
That's where
spent.
it's going anyway.
Yeah,
We're
man.
doing our own same thing. Like it's
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah, the more you can do yourselves in that sense, it's like the more money you can spend on promo, and that's where it's at, like publishing and obviously all promo marketing. That's where all the money is.
Yeah, that's
Really?
something a lot of people overlook, like
Yeah.
especially like younger bands who don't have experience. They're like, no, man, if we just write good songs, that'll all happen.
yeah.
Like, no.
Like we always say, I reckon a lot of people think that there's just going to be some suit with a bowler hat and a cigar at the back of their first gig going, "You are the best. We're going to sign." Smoking a big cigar.
That Monopoly guy.
Yeah. Monocle in there.
Yeah, it doesn't happen anymore. Like
No.
maybe
No.
back in the 90s, but not anymore. Just the way the climate is, like the industry and everything's just completely changed. It's
Yeah.
all obviously like the Facebook industry now and online industry. So if you got that marketing down, it pays to have like a member in your band to have some kind of marketing or even just like a business mind, then you're set. Like if you don't have that, like it's hard to be a functioning band and not end up killing yourselves, like, or killing each other.
Yeah.
If you don't have that one guy, like both myself and Dave are probably the guys that do that. Or we kind of took it on ourselves, but I do a lot of all the accounting stuff. Like I obviously registered the company and the business name, and do all our financials, like the taxes and like your P&Ls at the end of the financial year. I do all that stuff. And like booking flights and all that stuff that isn't anything to do with music. You got to do it to save the money and to actually function. Like if you're just like four dudes who just played music in in your rehearsal room, go, yeah, we should do a tour. You're like, yeah, okay. How do we do it?
Yeah,
Like,
fucking good luck.
Yeah, it's like, should we call it? We got a demo. Let's go to a pub and like give them the demo. They'll be like, yeah, well, cool. Like,
That'll go straight in the bin.
yeah, exactly. It's like,
Yeah.
who are you?
Yeah,
What
no one
numbers do you
cares
pull?
anymore.
Like, it's
So
all
hard.
yeah.
It's so hard to get the attention of anyone that matters. Hey, you got to.
Well, that's the industry. Like,
Yeah.
because it's so saturated now, it's more about standing out rather than having like good product, or it's more about how you can get into people's faces or how people can notice you. It's like back then you were spoon-fed the talent because there were A&R guys that go to those gigs with the monocle and say, I'm taking
Bowler hat.
yeah. And like, taking
These are going to
to
be stars. You're going to be the biggest
Yeah.
man.
So like they were taken to Capitol Records and go, we're going to give you a 5-album deal with $7 million. And it's like, sweet, let's coke up 50 grand of this in the first week. Do a Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, I think that would have been the Rolling Stones. Like, they're like, why is there no album? That all went to blow.
Yeah.
For sure, went to blow.
I need that blow. Otherwise, I can't conceive the album. All right.
Yeah. It's just so funny how that is what it used to be, but now the budgets have gone down to, hey, we can give you $2,000. What can you do with that?
Yeah.
Because we've got 50 other bands with $2,000. So instead of having this awesome A&R guy who filters all that and finds that one band and then basically manufactures them to become, popular, now you have so many DIY guys. But there's so much talent. There's all these bands are all really good. It's just, how does one become more popular than the other?
Yeah.
It's just because of their own marketing, or they're just getting out there and touring more. People notice their name on posters more if it's more on the radio, or like people talk about it more. It's like, dude, have you checked that new like new Periphery song or something? These guys play their own signature guitars, or this guy is like does YouTube videos of these awesome covers, and that's how they become big, rather than just one A&R guy saying this is who you should listen to. It's like everyone's finding music lovers are finding their own music, or either creating it or finding their own favorite band. So the game is to try and stand out now, rather than try to spend too much time on your art, like, which is important. Like, obviously at the core of it, you're a band, you create music and that's what you love doing. But if you want to make it a career, or if you want to make it somewhat successful, these are like the hard lines that you have to kind of adhere to, or like these are the hard truths that you have to kind of fess up to. It's just like, this is the reality, man. If you don't do this, you will be playing your local pub, and no one will, your mates will come maybe for the first 2 gigs.
Yeah.
And then they'll be like, mate, I've seen you before. Like,
Get sick of it.
yeah.
Like, it's almost like sometimes it doesn't even matter how good your band is. It's like you're saying, it's more about standing out on Facebook.
It's
and
all
Instagram
marketing,
and-
Yeah.
If you can come out with like the exact same shit, and if you market it properly, you'll be just as big as the band that you copied. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
it's
yeah.
not.
But you kind of get that, like, I don't know, to me there's certain labels and certain genres where, to me, the bands sound all the same, apart from maybe the singer, because obviously it's individual, unique voice, but just a lot of the stylings and like even the samples that these bands use, because of the DIY thing, they might get the latest sample pack from like Drunk It From Hell, or like a GGD, or one of those like drum sample packs, and because they sound sick and they're so cheap, everyone just uses it for their recordings and just resamples their kit, but it all sounds the same. And not only that, does it sound sonically the same, stylistically it sounds the same. And this is like one thing that resonated with me when I watched this interview with Phil from Pantera, and this is like post heroin, and he's supposedly clean, and he's at a university. It's a really good video. It's on YouTube. I think he talks at a uni and about his addiction and about Pantera and Dime and all that kind of stuff. But he touched on this thing. We said bands back in his day, like Pantera, have 4 members or however many members, but they all have individual influences, like 10 or 12 influences, or like their favorite bands. And then it becomes a melting pot of influences and they create something new out of it. Whereas these days, he finds that every member in the band only has like 1 or 2 influences. So it's more of a regurgitation rather than something completely unique.
Hmm.
And that resonated with me. I don't necessarily agree with it, but the thought and the principle of it I took with me. So like whenever I try to write stuff, I try to think of what am I into at the moment, what do I like hearing, and how many different genres can I draw from to create something new, rather than sweet, I'm really into Meshuggah, and I'm really into, you know, I don't know, like Killswitch Engage or something, and then you're gonna get a Meshuggah and Killswitch Engage album or like song. It's like, and people can tell, it'd be like, it just sounds like Meshuggah and Killswitch, man. Rather than if you get those two influences plus maybe 10 more, like maybe if you get influences like from say Pantera or something left field, like a pop band, like you influenced by fucking Taylor Swift or something, or like a vocal line there, or like a sound or a reverb on the snare from her, and then like a Justin Timberlake song, or like a Coldplay song. If you get all those influences as well as, you know, Meshuggah and Killswitch, you're going to create something completely different, and that's just the way it is.
I actually did think that when I listened to your album, there's a lot of, you know, there's like djenty parts, there's prog parts, the vocals are quite, sometimes even like there's some theatrical moments with the vocals, like, and that, but there's a lot in there, like a lot of styles, like definitely with that album.
I felt like I could definitely hear a pretty distinct Dream Theater influence on
Yeah.
that new single, that opening riff. Oh
yeah.
I was like, that's pretty Dream Theater.
Yeah. I was trying to, with that particular riff, I'm obviously a massive fan of Sixth as well. It has I don't know, I was thinking more keyboard. It's like more of a keyboard riff, because on guitar when I play it, it's just not a regular shape you would play. There's no like, I don't know the technique. I'm retarded with like theory.
Yeah, I don't know shit.
There's no like shapes, like normal shapes as you would play on a guitar. It's very unnatural.
Yeah.
Because when I wrote it on a keyboard.
Ah, okay.
That's why it sounds very odd, I
And
guess.
then you went back and tried to play, and you were
Yeah, it's like,
fuck.
Yeah, it's like, oh, how am I going to play this live, man? So it actually took me like a week to learn
Let's
it.
go and get a guitar.
Yeah.
That's how I'll do it.
There is actually a...
Why did you sing the final countdown?
I hate that song.
Influences,
I died
eh?
inside then.
Yeah. So how did you end up with the new vocalist?
I saw him in a band called Glass Empire. He was the front man of that band. They were a 4-piece band, and they're a sick band. And we always kind of crossed paths. I think they supported us a few shows as well. We played a few shows together.
So they're from Melbourne as well?
Yeah, Melbourne band. And seen them a few times, and every time I saw them, they were obviously amazing, and he's obviously amazing. So I was like, this guy can sing. But what he was actually playing, this is what got me, is like what he was actually playing and what he was actually singing. I'm going, not many people I know can do that. I can play that kind of
Shred
riff
and sing.
like the way he does. I'm like, this guy's a weapon. So I put that in the bank. This was like years ago. This was maybe like 4 years ago or 5 years ago. I said, if if anyone ever leaves or whatever, this will be the guy. So when Maddie left, our ex-guitarist, he was the first person I called and said, hey dude, do you want to just come fill in for a bit? Which obviously in my mind is like, you're my replacement. But I'm just going to say,
your soul is mine.
Yeah. I'm going to ease you into this position and lock you in and not let you go. So,
put him in the dungeon.
Yeah.
That's good to hear, man. It's usually over here you hear about people losing members and then just struggling to find anyone for forever, basically. And
it's weird, man.
Why did he leave?
Maddie left because he didn't turn up to rehearsal for like 11 months.
Oh, okay.
yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah. But at the core of it, it wasn't that. I mean, I see him like all the time now. Like we're still mates. I call him up and we have beers and chats, and so it's all good. It was more so we were heading in one direction. It sounds so cliche, but he always was. He was never really connected with the music. Like I'm the core songwriter, so and he was happy to play it, and he nails it because Matty's a sick guitar player. And like I told you before, like I wouldn't get anyone in the band that's worse than me. I would always want someone who can shit all over me in whatever I do.
Yeah.
So Matty was an awesome guitar player, but his background is more kind of fusion metal. He loves more of the quirky, like he's he was brought up on Primus, you know,
Right,
whereas
yeah.
I was brought up on Metallica.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, Metallica was kind of straight ahead metal kind of thing. He's kind of more that left field, funky, you know, odd time signature thing. And like when I was, you know, trying to rock out with Lars, he was playing bass at the time. He was like doing the popping, slapping, and all that kind of stuff. So his heart was never really in circles in that sense. Like, he never contributed into writing. He did, but what he'd write was completely not what we were going for.
Yeah.
So that was another reason. Well, that's the major reason for him leaving. But yeah, when Benny came in, I didn't even teach him the songs. I didn't even tell him what to learn. He just came in and he goes, "What do you want me to play?" Like, "All right, we're going to play this." And be like, "All right, cool." And he just nails it. He just knew it. I was like, "Awesome." He goes, "Do you want me to sing the backups as well?" I'd be like, "Yeah, I usually do them, but go for it." And he obviously just nailed all the backing vocals. I'm like, awesome. So I didn't sing for ages because I usually do backup vocals live. And for the couple of tours, I was like, freedom. Like, no more like stuck with the mic. You know, I always have to go back to the mic to sing.
And then you can get way drunker after shows. You don't have to look after
your
yourself.
voice, yeah.
Smoking and drinking. Yes.
Have to look after your voice. Yeah.
But it was fun. Like, I could kind of, like walk around the stage and not have to worry about, I don't have to sing here. I have to make it back to my, mic or whatever. So, but these days it's kind of gone back to it because we're back to a 4-piece and not back to a 4-piece. We are a 4-piece now. And, I'm doing a lot more backing vocals. So it sucks.
Stuck again.
But it's good though. Like, it's becoming, like Ben's a vocal teacher as well. So, and that's his job back in Melbourne. So, he's been giving me tips on like warm-ups and how to take care of your voice. And it's like, as you get older, you gotta take care of yourself.
Yeah, I need
There you
some
go.
of those.
Hit him up. He's got a fucking polyp on his vocal cords.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I found out like a couple of weeks ago, which is fucked because my tonsils are inflamed. I should have had them out years ago,
Right.
and because I'm always sick, it's fucked my vocal cords from clearing my throat, whatever. Yeah. So thanks, live.
So you scream a lot?
Nah, I'd sing.
Yeah.
So, and that's we're doing our album at the moment. I went in to do vocals on Saturday for the single, and was the worst condition my voice has ever been. I got a sinus infection as well because they're swollen. The guys like you get sick all the fucking time. You'll get anything because your immune system's always trying to keep them at bay. And so you just get sick all the time. And literally the day before I started getting a sinus infection, I was like, of course. So I can't fucking win at the moment. I got it done in the end, but yeah. It's going to be touch and go for this album, trying to get it done. But I need to do a shitload, like get some proper vocal coaching just to learn how to look after my voice with this issue a bit better. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, better late than never, man. Like, you gotta...
Yeah.
It's all the fucking heroin and shit you injected into your throat.
Into my tonsils. I like to inject heroin into my tonsils, go straight in
It's
there.
not actually a polyp, it's just that the needle's created like a big swollen ball of heroin in your throat.
I might sell them on the black market.
When
People
they
can get
cut it off,
high
it'll
off my
burst.
tonsils.
When they cut it off, it'll burst and everyone in the room will just die of an overdose.
Heroin breath.
Well, speaking of heroin, we're going to go take a piss and do some heroin, and we'll come back with some beer review and current events. So, as we said earlier, old Sammy bought us a growler from Feral. It is the BFH, the barrel fermented hop hog, which has been around for a bit now, actually.
I think it's their best beer. Like the best beer they do that I've had, I think.
Fucking hands down. I have had it before, but never straight from Feral, and it is better. Straight
All I got
the
from that was like growler, feral, and hog.
yeah, fucking West Australia.
Yeah.
Fucking beer wankers. Yeah, so it's barrel fermented in whiskey barrels, I'd say, bourbon barrels.
Yeah, but just a barrel that they fermented whiskey in, and they drain that, and then they put the beer in it. It definitely gives it like a sweeter taste, I think.
Yeah, you can taste. There's like just a slight hint of whiskey, but it's like it's an IPA, I think, or their version. It doesn't. To me, their IPAs never taste that much like an IPA, but they've got their own individual flavour. But it's fucking nice. I definitely recommend it.
What do you reckon, Ted?
Yeah, to me, it's kind of a bit more. feels a lot crispier than what I expected from your description.
Quite fresh, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not super hoppy like an IPA is normally. There's a little bit in there, but I think with the BFH, that slight whiskey taste sort of takes that over a little bit.
It definitely smooths it out, Because the normal hop hog, even though I like that hops taste, I can't. It's a bit much for me.
It's quite a sweet beer, normal hop hog.
No, it's not. You're wrong. It tastes like shit.
No, I mean, yeah.
It's not sweet at all. Speaking of fucking tasting like shit, everybody who's been hyping that Biggie juice, lose my fucking number. That shit sucks.
Yeah, it's not the best.
I mean, it's okay. It's for those who don't know, and for Ted, because you guys don't get feral in Melbourne.
You will.
Oh, no, we do get feral, but not.
Oh, yeah, no feral beers though. Yeah, so it's like essentially is a beer with orange juice in it.
Yeah, right.
And they call it Biggie juice, and it's got Notorious B.I.G. on it and everything. But yeah, so it's really hard to get. It's sold out like everywhere immediately.
Is it endorsed by him?
He's on. I don't know. He's on the label.
He's dead, bro. He's dead.
Oh, is it public domain though?
Yeah, like Sam, who got
endorsed by his ghost.
Sam, who got us the growler, bought those, and we tried them, and yeah, it didn't blow my nuts off. Everyone's like hyping it up, and it's pretty average. To be
That's what
honest.
happens with hype beers.
Yeah, hype movies, hype
yeah.
beers. Yeah.
Always set up for a letdown.
Yeah, it's funny that.
So, all right, we'll do some current events. We've got a pretty ridiculous one here, actually, and it's not exactly a current event, but it is a news article that I saw.
It's a past event, for sure.
It's so what it is in a place called in Ireland, where the fuck is it? Iceland. So in Iceland, they have this tradition where their version of like a shaman, which they call a sorcerer or a witch, it's essentially just a healer. They use herbs and do weird rituals and shit. What they do to keep warm is they ask a influential person's relatives when they die if they can actually remove the skin from their lower body and wear it as underwear, and they never take it off, and that is how they keep warm. And I cannot get the image of an old Icelandic man just stuffing his dick into another man's dick skin.
Is it a unisex skin though? What if the dead relative is a female and you're a male and you have to put on the female skin?
Oh, could you slide? Is there just a hole there and you can slide it out so it'd be like arseless chaps, but from the front way?
That's like a whole new fucking version of hermaphrodite.
I was saying before, it's like reverse docking. Hey, like if you're coming in from the inside.
Yeah, I don't know if you've heard the phrase, dick in dick, like moving together. It brings a whole new fucking level.
Who thought of that? Who's like, you know what I'm going to do today? That cunt just died. I'm going to wear him as pants. And then the whole village is like, I've been wanting to do that for fucking years. And now it's out in the pub.
It's the best way to keep warm around here.
It was probably just some fucking shaman had some weird fetish and he like cut it off and he was like jerking off through the skin and someone caught him. Now, what are you doing? He's like, oh no, it's a great honor to your family.
and the gods are like
good cover up.
That is a quick thinking shaman.
This sounds like something was happening 3000 BCE or whatever. This shit is from the 1600s. They only just stopped doing this. That's
probably still happening. I'm sure if you go to Iceland, there's someone there doing it. You go there and like no one actually knows, but the whole of Iceland's just strutting around in their dead relatives' genitals.
Oh, you take a chick home, you take her pants off, and there's just a shriveled up leather dick in front of you. Like, fuck yes.
Granddad was hung, dude.
Wow.
I can't live up to that.
Sprinkle some incest on that. That's another level.
It didn't take long. It got there.
Hey man, that's the second incest episode.
The incest rabbit hole.
That is something else though. Like wearing a dead relative's, not anyone else. It's just a dead relative. That's even creepier.
No, I think they go to somebody else's it's somebody else's relative and they ask permission from the family.
It
Doesn't make it any less fucking creepy though, yeah.
I had another thought about this. So you're sliding a dude's pants, like leg pants, whatever they are on, and you'd have to have a hard dick to push into the sleeve of his old dick. So you'd have to have a boner just to slide it in there.
I'm not sure how you could do that without getting a boner.
That's a valid point.
I'm 3/4 erect just thinking about it.
Well, what if it's
Cold
like, it's
spoon.
not one size fits all either. So what if the relative had like a small dick and you were like massive? It'd be like, I'm going to tear this dick open. Like,
Tear this dick open.
Or possibly even worse, what if you put on your granddad's skin and you find out he's packing heat and you've got a little pea dick?
Oh, you got to say that in a way deeper voice, like, I'm going to tear this dick open.
You should say that on stage.
Yeah.
Everybody tear this dick open. And then when somebody questions you, you said, oh no, I said pit. Not dick, pit. The
Tear
hell's
this
wrong with
dick
you?
open tonight, motherfuckers.
it's Icelandic for pit.
Go look it up, dumbass.
You uncultured swine. Yeah, so not a whole lot of music news this week, actually, unless you've seen anything interesting happening. Really, eh?
No, not really. I just
Yeah.
been under a rock. We've just been on this tour. So
Yeah, no, it's
I
not.
had one, the Under Oath, for all the Under Oath fans out there, just dropped a new song, and it's actually a fucking tune, quite different, but
It's still got
liked
the
it.
Under Oath energy,
Yeah,
which I
yeah.
like. Yeah.
Yeah, like I thought the drums were fucking cool. Like, I like that.
Yeah, completely
intro.
different mix. Because obviously I'm an audio guy. Like I noticed that's the first thing I noticed. It's kind of almost like an EDM track, the way it's mixed.
Yeah.
Because the synths are like way up front, and like the drums are just like slapping right in your
It
face.
is, man. The drums are
Yeah.
really punchy. Hey, almost like pendulum or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. I dig it though. It's like a 3-minute neat track, and it's got everything that you need. Like, I dig it. I'm pretty excited about the new album.
Same, man. Yeah,
How long has
welcome
it
back
been
to
since
them.
they,
Fuck, ages, man. Must
Yeah.
be, like coming on 7-8 years? Or...
It's a while.
Anything
eh?
after like Lost in the Sound of Separation for me.
Choke to death. Choke to death.
Oh,
die
Lord.
on the episode.
I just may. Oh, fuck.
Well, that actually reminded me.
Yeah.
7 years.
Lost in the Sound of Separation. I like Define the Great Line was sick.
That's
and
my
the
album.
one,
Yeah.
one before that I like.
Yeah, that just reminded me. There's another band that's been AWOL for like 7 years. Just released a song last night. Actually, I don't know if you're into it. You might be being a prog guy. Dimmu Borgir.
Really, I saw them at
Yeah.
Soundwave.
So it's a very divisive band.
They dress up or like they like ghosts.
Oh,
and
that stuff doesn't bother me. Like if a band wants to dress up, then that's cool. Like it's not. I'm not gonna. Yeah, it's cool. Whatever. It's for me. I couldn't be bothered. Like,
Yeah.
it's
as if you
such a
could be
mission,
bothered.
eh?
Imagine all the makeup.
Yeah.
Imagine Kiss.
Oh.
How long would that fucking take before every show?
Oh, they'll have obviously makeup artists doing it for them. You still have to
but
sit
still,
in the chair.
it'd be an hour
Yeah.
probably. Like,
And it'd be
that
so
shit-
much hotter too with all
Yeah.
that fucking shit.
Oh,
on
when
it.
you
heavy
start
and-
sweating, because you know
Just
you walk
sweating.
off stage, you're soaked. It's like you've been for a swim. Imagine you're just a pool of like
Yeah.
slime
Just
as well.
makeup in your eyes and shit. Yeah, it'd be
Like
fucking
imagine
crying
not,
like
with
a
those,
bitch.
imagine not being able to breathe in that mask and it's
Oh, the
so
Slipknot
sweaty.
guys.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know how you
Oh.
even get sweat in your eyes and like. it'd be
well,
the
it's
worst.
actually impressive. People don't really think about it because they've been doing it for
Yeah,
so
yeah.
long. But Corey with his vocals through those masks,
Yeah.
that's fucking
intense.
insane. Yeah.
I can't. Yeah, it's funny how long they've kept doing that for. I thought by now they would have been like, yeah, time to hang the masks up, boys. Like,
Yeah, no, they've hung on to that, eh? And their masks have gotten like more and more intricate. Like so they've gotten less brutal, I think, over the years. But like the
Yeah.
quality of them and stuff's pretty cool.
another
Yeah.
band, Gwar. They are out of control. Those guys, like, they're like, oh, the singer of Gwar died, and they're like, what? Who? They just replaced him with someone else, and no one notices. 'cause
the
he's-
same outfit.
and their names like Odorous Arungus and
That could be the new Icelandic thing. If someone like an iconic Icelandic star dies, get their skin, just wear the skin, and just invitation.
keep going as them.
It's
No
cool.
problem. It's
Yeah.
all the same.
They'll,
Shaman's covered it. It's cool.
they'll start doing like a whole suit then, like with a zip at the back, and you can put the face, like just climb in there and everything.
Like for Texas Chainsaw.
The only other thing I want to
You're
talk
welcome,
about.
Iceland.
The only other thing I want to talk about. Well, I want to ask you: have you been watching the Winter Olympics at all? Probably not time on
Not
the tour.
not a ton. But yeah, a little bit. All I know from that is the controversy with the curling.
It's exactly
How-
what I want to fucking talk about because
And you wonder, how could there be controversy with curling?
all fucking sports,
curling.
I can't even call it a fucking sport to
How
start
can you?
with.
How can anything enhance the chances of curling?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
That's like your missus being like, yeah, look, I had to mop the floor, so I just danged up some test in my ass.
yeah.
Like, that's essentially what's happened. This guy's out of fucking control,
Yeah.
eh?
Usually it takes you 10 minutes to do the floors. It took you 9 minutes and 59 seconds. Lucky I
This is
took
an
that.
outrage.
Doping violation. Just, yeah, I don't know.
It's weird, from what I've heard, it's the same drug as what Maria Sharapova was done for, and I think supposedly it was part of her cold and flu medicine. So whether they were intentionally taking it as performance enhancing or they just they had a night out.
I usually take roids when I get sick too. I'm like, fuck, I'm sick. Put a stack of roids in me, eh?
I don't think it matters either way because after what, like, Russia was banned and then he, came on, all those clean athletes came along as, I don't know, it was weird. It's like they were representing the Olympics, not Russia. So these countries already banned, and now he's got popped. I don't think they're just going to be like, I don't give a fuck.
So
So got in your system. Get the fuck out of here.
So it was another Russian team, was it?
Yeah, it was a Russian.
Russian
it was a
team.
Russian curler. Yeah,
Yeah, got
Who the
done.
Fuck else?
We didn't actually explain that,
It's
eh?
fucking sorry. It's a Russian curler. Everybody fucking knew that already. All these fucking Russians are crazy.
Yeah, well, it definitely would have had to been the broomstick cunt. That would have been the one that got
Furious.
done, just jacked and just super aggressive because they got roid rage, and they're like, they're sweeping
that.
the fuck out of that ice.
Imagine the female curlers, the broom sweepers. Imagine them giving you a fucking hand job.
Oh, your dick would look like an apple core once she's fucking done.
The forearms on them, mate, just furiously
So
sweep.
it's like a jackhammer, eh? You just walk around, you've got like, you're just vibrating for like 10 minutes. Like, fuck.
Well, when she's not curling, she's just obviously just a maid or something.
She's
A hand job
a
hall.
curler and a masseuse in her spare time. I wanted to ask you before we sign off and get out of here, because you've got to load in to the gig tonight.
Sure do.
You've mentioned a few times that you're the audio dude, so you're obviously producing all the circle stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm into it a bit as well, but I'm bottom tier scrub with this shit. I'm still learning. What kind of advice would you give to someone who's trying to get into that? Like, in terms of where would you start? Because it's something that's so overwhelming at first.
It is. Like, you got to remember that even the people at the top are still learning. I think that's an important lesson. You hear, like, I used to listen to records and I think this is the most amazing mix I've ever heard. How the hell did you come up with this? And then with the URM thing that I told you about, sometimes I get to see some of these tracks and you can watch live mixes of them. So what happens in this program is the producer who produced the song will come on live and then they'll mix that particular song live. So you see exactly every single move they do and the end product from start to finish and the mix. So after watching a couple of those, I'm like, there's not much to it. It's mostly about, there's not one secret. It's not like, there's this one $10,000 piece of hardware or this $20,000 compressor that I need to buy that'll make my mixes sick. It's none of that. It's all micro moves. So like a good mix is a million micro moves that make it sound the way it sounds. So I guess the main advice would be to always be open to learn. There's no good or bad. It's like you just said, you're like bottom tier. There is no bottom tier. It's like I've probably spent more time learning this thing than you have. That's it. That's just all it is. Like you could probably achieve a kick-ass mix if you did study it or if you kept doing this for the next 10 years. And some people, there are exceptions. There's some geniuses who just have this weird knack for creating sounds like artistically and doing it. But most of the time it's just hard work. Just got to be it's the same with anything, but like if you put the time in and if you put the effort in and if you're dedicated to it, then you can be just as good as any other guy. And like same with the band. Like if you want to be successful, if you want to do it as like a full-time job, or if you want that to be your career, you got to focus on your business, not in your business. And that's a big thing as well. Like, sure, you might have the skills to be able to pull off a cool mix now, or a good enough mix to get paid for it, but who's going to get you to mix their album if they don't know who you are? It's the same with the band. Like, it's all the marketing, the business stuff. If you got that on lockdown, then yeah, you have no reason to become a successful audio engineer. Like, and you got to be open to what they call like pivoting as well, like in your career. So like if you are dead set on being an audio engineer, go, I'm going to become the next Colin Richardson, or I'm going to become the next Andy Sneap, or these big mixers. That's cool, but if an opportunity comes along that you have that has a potential for growth, then by all means chase it. Like just say if you're hell bent on becoming this audio engineer or like a mix engineer, but something comes along like education, or like if something comes along like radio or TV, and if you're kind of half into it and be like, you know what, I'm going to give this a shot, you could just as well, what we call pivot into that industry, or to do voiceovers, or to do indie bands. It might not be just metal bands. Obviously, we're all kind of in the metal industry, I guess, or metal genre. Doesn't mean that you have to mix metal. Of course, you might enjoy it, but if it's a career thing, man, like if you earn, 200K a year mixing indie bands, I'm pretty sure I'd be stoked with that rather than working some shitty warehouse job,
Yeah, fuck no.
Might as well. And at least it's still recording, and that will give you, once you get to that comfortable spot, you can do, your passion projects. So like if you see a local band at, down at Jack Rabbit Slims and you say, this band is sick, I want to record these guys, you have obviously the funds to do it. I'm going to lock out a month. I'm not going to accept any more jobs for this month and just do this sick band because I'm into it. And then record the next indie band 2 months later and collect your 20K. You know what I mean? Like you got to be open to opportunities. I reckon that's key. So like hard work, always be open to learn new things, and and working on the business side of things. I think that's important.
Yeah, I think so too. Like with what little experience I have, the excuse me, the open to trying new things is so important, because you might watch a YouTube video and Misha's like, this is what you do with the drum kit and this is what you do, blah blah blah, and then you do it and you're like, it still sounds weird. It's just that those things never work. There's never a one size fits all. You've just got to just try different things that aren't genre specific. And
but you got to remember, sorry to interrupt, but you also got to remember that's the way he does it. Yeah. He's just giving you the tools, and so is everyone else who's educating you on audio stuff. It's like, this is how I do it, take it the way you want to do it. But just say if you do it exactly like, and it goes, oh man, it sounds sick, it sounds exactly like Misha's mix or Misha's drums, then who's going to come to you for those drums, you or Misha? Like, you know what I mean?
That goes back to what you were talking about before, like all these bands that have the sound same because they're like, what pedals is Misha using? How do I get Misha's Axe patches? They're not. I think it's just so easy to get hold of those things now.
And they all sound great.
Yeah, they do sound great, but that's why you have so many bands who sound the same, because everybody's got an Axe with the bulb patch and get good drums, and
I do.
I mean, we do have those.
But how awesome is it as like, you got to think of it separately, as in like, you got to think of it as tools. So like a creative tool. How awesome is it that these days all you need is a laptop and some software and you can create a world-class demo.
Yeah.
And then you can like send it off to your band member in Melbourne.
Yeah, it's the best. It's so good.
That's awesome. But if you want to mix your own stuff or create new sounds, then sure, use those as building blocks. But you got to remember, you're going to sound like, Nolly or Misha, who've created these pedals and plugins, because they're the originators. So if you want your own sound, sure, use them, but, put your
you can even just tweak them, play around with them, change them up.
A quick thing that I did recently was I actually used GGD on our latest album, but I didn't actually use the sample. I just used the room sample.
Oh, okay.
So you know how on the mixer there's the mics that he has, like, you know, snare top, snare bottom,
Yeah, snare room,
and
overheads, all that.
short room, and all that kind of stuff. What I did was I turned the close mics off, and because he recorded it in, I think, Middle Farm Studios in England, and the room is awesome. The room sounds amazing. So what I did was took the snare close mics out and just used the room sounds, but used an original snare sample or original snare sound. But I got the room sound from GGD, which is a really nice room. Whereas I recorded this snare in some shitty small room, like in like a shed, pretty much, really close mic'd. So you've got an original snare sound, which is mine, but I just used the room sound, like the Middle Farm studio sound of the room.
Now you've said that, that's like, duh. It's so obvious, but,
But
you know,
yeah,
like,
but
you know,
little
yeah.
things like that, like it's not a straight up, here's my snare sample. You can use the room, which is generic because it's a studio. Like, I guarantee like 1 million bands have gone through Middle Farm Studios. But that particular snare and that particular miking that Nolly's used is the sample that you get. So you take that away, but you just use the room, then you've got the room. So,
Very
you know,
cool.
little things like that are cool. But yeah, it's a little...
That's a
tip.
great tip, actually. That's something I haven't thought about, yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah,
you can do
that
that
is
with any
cool.
sample pack, so it's cool.
Yeah. And lots of those sample packs are so cheap too. Like we've been using Steven Slate, which was $30 or
Awesome.
something.
It was
Yeah.
actually free for me because I stole yours.
Well, yeah, it was $30 and you get 2 copies of
Oh,
it.
yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah, awesome.
They've taken that away now, though. Hey,
yeah, we just swooped in before they took it down.
Yeah, nice.
that's what I was thinking
so
too.
if you're listening, suck shit.
Well, I'm going to be sucking that shit when I get a new computer and have to pay for it. God damn it.
But yeah, it's so cheap, man. Like, who would have thought, like, you can go into a studio and record this awesome snare that this top-notch producer's recorded. What, $30? Like, what's that? It's
I know.
the growler. How much was the growler?
$30.
$30. There you go.
We've just drunk $30 worth of beer.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they probably spent, you know, a couple hundred
Yeah,
hours getting these
exactly.
samples
In
down.
like a multi-million-dollar studio.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. So like,
It
I'm
is.
more than happy to pay, you know, hundreds of dollars for like a sample pack or a piece of software because the value in it is ridiculous. Like,
Yeah,
Especially
that's
those
true.
drum, those
Yeah.
drum programs, you just get so much out of them.
Yeah,
like it's
insane.
You know, people complain like, oh, that fucking synth or that keyboard or violin synth or whatever it is $800. Yeah, I get that. That's kind of, you know, it's one instrument sometimes, but with the drum ones, you know, you just get so much out of a drum VST, and yeah, they're
it's
awesome.
all perspective. Like $800 to you might be like, you know, your week's pay or whatever, but in terms of the actual product and what you can get out of it, at the end of the day, $800 isn't that much for what you get. So I guess, yeah, a lot of that
Depends,
stuff is...
yeah. For people doing bedroom stuff though,
It
yeah.
depends how many you got to buy too. Hey, like, they
Yeah.
start to rack up. But it's crazy. It blows my mind sometimes when you actually sit back and think how far it's come in a short time. Because you take it for granted now. We're like, last night we're just sitting there, you know, we're tracking, doing whatever, working on our song, just in his bedroom, you know, at a house.
Yeah.
And then you go back 15 years and it was Fruity Loops and
Oh, man.
fucking stuff like that. And it's mind blowing how
crazy,
far
man.
it's come.
I
hey?
used to use a Tascam 4-track tape machine to record my ideas. Like, that's how old I'm, like a fucking dinosaur. Like, it was 4 tracks, and you bounce the 4 to 2, so you free up the next 2 and do your guitars. And you had to, there's no drum sampling, so I had to mic up my drum. I had a drum set or drum kit, and I had 4 mics and 4 of them from Radio Shack or Tandy down the road.
Tandy.
Yeah.
Fuck, I
And
forgot
yeah,
about Tandy.
Tandy Electronics with the on and off switch, these dynamic mics.
They're all gone now.
So you just like, I had 4 of those, so one on the snare, one on the kick, and kind of overhead, so you capture the toms and the cymbals, and record that into 4 tracks. So you have to EQ it on the way in because you can't post EQ that stuff. Like,
No, shit's on tape forever now. Yeah,
exactly. So like, you do that, you commit. But that's one thing that a lot of up and coming or younger dudes who haven't come up through the analog days is commit. I think that's a huge concept that you should probably take on board is for any young, you know, audio guys is to commit. It's so easy to change stuff later, to tweak this, tweak that, but there's something simple and direct about committing to a sound. So if you get a good tone, commit it, or if you get a good snare drum, commit it and put it to in inverted commas. It's like commit it to tape.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've got a
so-
friend who's like a bit of a audio engineer, and he said the same thing. Just if it sounds good to you, man,
Just commit it.
Commit. Don't be afraid of what everyone else is going to say that it sounds shit. If it's good to you, use it. Go with that.
Yeah.
That is a hard thing, eh? 'Cause you're always a bit worried that you might not be listening to it
creative,
right. Or,
yeah. Commitment is like the
people-
hardest thing
Yeah,
ever.
that's why we're all artists, because we
Yeah.
don't like to commit to things.
I just thought when we were talking about how far technology is coming, he showed me this video of Boston Dynamics of this robot dog they created opening a door, and I shit my pants. Have
It
you
opens
seen
the
it?
door and then holds it open for its mate, and then its mate runs
This is
through.
Black Mirror shit.
Yeah, it is,
Yeah.
man. It actually, because I haven't actually seen, because it's obviously got some form of AI in it, and it's acting on its own accord. And yeah, this dog just walks on, and he's like pulling the dog
I love
back,
that you
and
call
it's
it a
like,
dog.
what?
I love that you call it a dog.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like a dog. It's on all fours and its head's a claw. But it's like pulling open this door, and he's like pulling it back, and it's trying to get past, and eventually gets out. Yeah, and this other one runs out, and
Yeah, this dude like kicks it and like tries to shut the door on it, like to stop it
Yeah.
getting to, and it's like, "Fuck you, man! I'm doing this." And
how
See,
well
that's
it moves,
scary.
man. I'm like, fuck that. We're not far off. Like, I could see them taking us over when I saw the way that thing moves, and it's just we're just beginning with this shit. Like,
Have you watched the recent season of Black Mirror?
not
Yeah,
recent,
I have.
haven't,
Yeah,
no.
there is
Yeah.
that episode with the dog machine thing.
yeah,
The black and white one. I think it's called like Metalhead or something like that.
They're
Yeah.
always. I love that show. How morbid and like
Yeah,
it's just showing the absolute negative side
It's the
of
best,
technology.
man. I would say it's like my most favorite show of the decade or something. It's just ridiculous.
It
how
is
good
sick. I love that show. They need. This is not long enough. There's like 6 episodes.
They're all like mini movies though.
It's
Yeah.
because they're British, like that. It's pretty. That's how British TV shows are. It's like 6-7 episodes tops.
Yeah, they
It's always
always
like
are. Hey,
Yeah.
it's so frustrating.
good.
Like the in betweeners, they did that.
I have to get out of here. So before we go, sorry, not that bit of paper. I want to get from you. We usually do like a song recommendation.
Oh shit.
Something you've been listening to,
Something you've been
jamming.
listening to, and also, I don't know if we'll be able to do this, but with you guys being on the label and all that, we usually get you to pick your favorite song, and then we'll play that at the end.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just do the latest, the one that we just dropped.
Yeah,
Probably
new
the
one. Yeah,
easiest.
Yeah, definitely. That's my favorite anyway. Yeah,
Awesome.
I'm keen.
Yeah, it's a good
What about
track,
what
man.
about jams? What have you been into?
Um,
Or you just been on tour? Can't be fucked to listen to music after you.
No,
played it
I
all day?
still listen to music all the time. I'm always on the hunt for cool stuff. What I've been listening to is, like I just told you guys on the ride here, it's podcasts, man. I've just been smashing podcasts.
Yes,
I've been listening to
podcast.
this thing called Switched On Pop, and what they do is they break down pop songs, and I've been listening to the pop songs. So it's I'm a bit late to the party. I've been smashing heaps of Bruno Mars's album, and that New Rules song by Dua Lipa.
I don't think I heard.
Oh, I think that's what.
It's like it's an
Josh
old,
from the Fame recommended that actually.
all right.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
Yeah, same one, yeah.
Killer track, man. The thing that got me was this little fill that happens just before the chorus, and it throws you off. Which you never hear in like a pop song. You never hear any kind of polyrhythmic stuff or
No,
anything.
you really
anything.
don't even hear rolls
It's all
at
just
all.
yeah. But there's this little fill that comes into just before the chorus where she says, "I've got new rules, I count them," and that threw me off, and it's like, this is cool. And the more I listened to it, and there was an episode of Switched On Pop with that song, and then they talk about, like text painting and all this kind of stuff with their lyrics and how the bass notes go up when she goes down. And then when she talks about herself in a positive light, she moves up in her vocal line and little things like that. It's
That's
just
really
really,
interesting, yeah.
man, like
All
I've
the
been-
nuanced little shit you don't really.
people, especially in our genre, like you forget how intricate pop it actually is, and like how smart a lot of these songwriters are. When you look on the surface, it's just like, oh, it's a pop song, man. It's Taylor Swift's new song or Ed Sheeran's new song. But when you actually analyze it, there are some really, really intricate stuff going on. As being a metal guy or like brought up on metal, you're always looking for those technical stuff, like that double kick pattern or that lick on that, that legato lick on that guitar or whatever.
Yeah, it's a lot more subtle.
Yeah.
Whereas metal's like just throwing it in your
It's
face.
like boom, there it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I've been listening to.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's
I'll have to check it out now because it's been recommended twice.
yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
in
yeah.
one way.
Was he a metal guy as well?
No, I think
No.
they've into everything. They got into metal and that, but they're like a pop.
Oh, they're a pop group.
There are, well, I mean,
pop rock.
they hate this because everyone says it, but they're Fall Out Boy meets Panic. And basically,
Oh, but they're still kind of rock. They're still
Yeah,
a
like they
rock
have
band.
that like semi-punky
Yeah.
edge to
They
them.
started out as pop punk, and
Yeah.
then I think they were telling us Travis Barker and
Yeah.
John Feldman found them, and
Yeah,
just
so they've been in
produced.
LA like writing 2 songs a day trying to get their shit together. So
John Feldman is another audio guy who's like one of those geniuses.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I think you'll be hearing a lot of their name
Yes,
very
sweet.
soon. Yeah, they were really cool guys too. What about you, Josh? What have you been?
Fuck, I can't even think right now because my phone's over there. But
Is it the plot in you again?
I can't stop jamming that. I've been listening to that twice a day, and Dangerous Summers. I'm still jamming the same stuff, so nothing really new, eh?
Nothing really here either. I've actually gone back and started listening to the latest Trivium album a bunch again. Just some, I don't know, people hate on Trivium for some reason. I think because they're kind of,
They're popular.
yeah, and they're a little poppy in
I reckon
these
it's
days
great.
in terms of how they write songs. But actually, that's what I enjoy about them is how well they write songs these days. So I've just been listening to that and taking notes on songwriting and how they're structuring choruses and all that sort of stuff. Because they managed to write these really poppy songs and then have these really heavy bits with really long guitar solos and stuff and still get, 100 million plays on Spotify somehow. It's like, fucking hell. I didn't think anyone cared about guitar solos anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But other than that, that's it, man. Good luck with the gig tonight. Thank you
Yeah,
very
cheers.
much for
Yeah,
coming.
man.
Yeah, thanks for having us and thanks for the beer.
Yeah,
no
thanks for coming
worries.
all this way to
Thanks for
Perth too. We do, like as you said, we do appreciate bands coming this far.
We love it. We would come here all the time if it was financially viable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, next time you're back, we'll have to have you on again and
Yeah, we'll
talk some
bring
more
some other
shit.
dudes. Yeah,
Maybe we'll see you in Melbourne when we get our shit together.
Yeah. Yeah,
We'll bring
definitely.
some feral beers with us.
yeah. We'll do our best to bring some of our decent beers out.
Yeah, show
I'll
us
bring
the
out some
way.
Geelong bitter for you.
Sounds class.
yeah.
No. Alrighty, man. Thanks everyone for listening. Again, thank you for the crazy response. It's actually, I know we said we were blown away by the first week's response, but it's actually gotten even crazier. I just can't say enough. Thank you for all the messages. Thank you everybody who's checked it out.
And subscribe. Hit the
Subscribe,
subscribe
yeah.
button on our
Those reviews
iTunes
really help
channel.
our podcast show up in the feed when people search for it on all the apps. I am hoping that in the next week or so for the Android listeners, a few people have messaged us and said that it's a bit of a mission because Google Play doesn't accept podcasts from Australia yet, which is fucking stupid. Hey, Google, fuck you.
Actually, sorry, trying to interrupt. I'm actually on Android. I use this app I think it's called Podcast Republic,
Okay.
and that's how you just search for you guys and
Oh,
it's
really?
come
And it
straight
came up?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
you
right.
subscribe.
Oh, okay,
So-
because I haven't submitted
Sweet.
to that. That must work off another feed. Interesting.
so-
Okay, there you go. So if you're on Android, check out Podcast Republic. That comes up. And in the meantime, we are working on getting it on Spotify. So apparently they're hell assholes to get your podcast on there. So we'll see how we go. But yeah, keep an eye out for that. And thanks very much.
Cheers.